Canada has 10 provinces and 3 territories. The Trans-Canada Highway travels 4,860 miles through all 10 provinces, making it the world's longest national highway. We said goodbye to Ontario and started our journey of driving Highway 1 in its entirety to Mile Zero on Vancouver Island. Highway 1 ends in Whiteshell, Manitoba, which is where we're beginning. We made a pit stop at the longitudinal center of Canada for a quick picture and continued on to Winnipeg, the capital of Manitoba, for a stroll around town. We drove westward into Saskatchewan, known as the Wheat Province for producing a significant portion of Canada's wheat. Here we snapped a few photos in the prairies and observed the vast agricultural lands. We passed through Regina, the capital of Saskatchewan, as we made our way to our favorite Canadian province of Alberta. Here, a quick detour took us to the Badlands Guardian. From the air, the eroded clay ridge soil looks like a human head wearing a full First Nations headdress. In Medicine Hat, we stopped at the Sammy's Teepee, which was built for the 1988 Winter Olympics and stands 215 feet tall. It has 10 masts, each telling a story about Native culture and history. We made it to the Canadian Rockies. Here the scenery changes to beautiful snowy peaks and turquoise lakes. Can you believe this is just a pullout on the side of the road? When we reached our happy place of Canmore, we immediately went to see the stunning Three Sister Mountains reflected on Policeman Creek. We took this picture at Quarry Lake, which was once an open pit coal mine, but is now a popular recreation area. Next, we went to Two Jack Lake. Here we walked along the shoreline, found 2 red chairs, and took pictures of Mount Rundle. Lake Minnewanka, known as Lake of the Spirits, is 13 miles long and 466 feet deep. Scuba divers can explore the submerged ghost town resort village of Lake Minnewanka Landing, which was flooded by a dam in 1941. We drove around Banff National Park and Banff Town, exploring many photographic locations. At Lake Louise, we expected to see a bright turquoise lake. However, with it being spring, the lake was partially frozen, but for Floridians like us, it was a magical surprise. We entered British Columbia, the last Canadian province of our Trans-Canada journey. Our first stop is Yoho National Park. Here we went to see Natural Bridge, a rock formation formed by water erosion over the Kicking Horse River. Then we went to Emerald Lake. We hiked the trail that goes around this stunning turquoise lake and saw the first black bear of the trip. But we were even more excited when we saw our first porcupine ever. Later, we camped at the Columbia River in Revelstoke. We hiked the half-mile loop trail at Moses Creek Falls. A less than 5-minute walk takes you to Sutherland Falls. Just off the highway is Cave Falls. Not much parking, but very much worth the stop. If you want to get close enough, prepare to get wet. The last bike was a fun lunch spot. It is the location where Canadian Pacific Railway placed the last bike, marking the completion of Canada's first transcontinental railway in November of 1885. We played with a cat on the Malacca Suspension Bridge over the Eagle River and watched the Canadian Pacific train go by. In Kamloops, you really start to notice a change in landscape. Here we saw a balancing rock among hoodoos. The drive starts to feel like you're in the American Southwest. This area has a desert-like climate which contributes to its badlands. On each side of the Fraser River, you can see a railroad. One is the Canadian Pacific Railway and the other is the Canadian National Railway. Now we got to see a Canadian National train at the conflux of the Fraser and Thompson Rivers. These are the Cisco Bridges. This is where the railway route, which follow the Fraser River, exchange sides. This 810-foot bridge is for the Canadian National. This other one is 520 feet for the Canadian Pacific. Flood Falls is a short hike with big reward. It's only about 0.6 of a mile. Bridal Falls is beautiful, but a busy tour bus stop. We happened to be at Fort Langley on Victoria Day and got to see a parade and Royal Canadian Mounted Police. We went to Burrard Dry Dock Pier for skyline pictures of Vancouver. At Stanley Park, we saw the totem poles, the Lionsgate Bridge, and Siwash Rock. We drove up to Cypress Mountain for another angle of the Vancouver skyline. Next was Horseshoe Bay, where we drove ollie onto BC ferries in order to cross the Strait of Georgia to continue our Trans-Canada Highway 1 journey on Vancouver Island. We made it to Departure Bay in Nanaimo on Vancouver Island. A short walk from the parking lot is Niagara Falls. Not the famous one, but it's the same name. In Victoria, we went to see the Parliament House. And for the final stop on our Trans-Canada Highway 1 journey, the Mile Zero Monument.